Okay, it's the last game of the season. Vikings at the Lions this Sunday. Uh, we are alive technically for a playoff spot, even after the embarrassing debacle on New Year's Eve, but we're not going to get in the playoffs. We need to win in Detroit, and we need three other things to happen, or three of four. We need the Packers to lose to the Bears in Lambeau. We need the Seahawks to lose, I believe, on the road against the Cardinals. And we need either the Saints or Tampa Bay to lose. Tampa Bay is playing the Panthers. The Saints are playing the Falcons. I forget home and road on that one. Uh, I could actually see the other three things happening. I absolutely could see that. The Bears are probably better than the Packers right now. Oh, they're probably better than the Vikings right now. Um, I could see that happening. Um, it would be kind of funny if the Packers were eliminated from the playoffs by a division rival for the second year in a row. Um, um, I could see the Saints losing to the Falcons certainly, and I could see the Cardinals beating the Seahawks. Cardinals went into Philly and won last week, so that this wouldn't be as hard as that. But I don't see any chance the Vikings win this game. So honestly, it's almost destiny that it happens that way, where the Vikings part of this is the one thing that doesn't work out. Um, and it would fit because this season has been hell, and I expect it to be hell for one more Sunday. Um, it's rough. This is going to go down just as one of the most frustrating, unpleasant seasons that I've ever experienced as a Vikings fan, and I've been with them since '87, and this is one of the worst. Just for pain, for unrealized potential, just for bad luck. Um, just every injuries. I mean, again, for this game, we might have 3/5 of our starting offensive line out of the game. Brian O'Neill ain't playing. Darisaw and Ingram are listed as questionable. We got a bunch of guys out in the secondary again. Murphy's out. Mekhi Blackman's out. Uh, Theo Jackson's out. He's been getting a lot of play at safety, um, along with all the other guys who we've had out. It's just, I don't want to turn this into like a look back at the season type of thing. I'll probably do something like that, you know, beyond Sunday even. But yeah, it's fitting that this is probably how it's going to end with us going to Detroit. Detroit kind of needs this game. Um, they're pretty much locked into the 3 seed, unless the Eagles or Cowboys lose, or I think, or no, I think they both have to lose, and they're not playing each other. So I forget who's playing Washington, who's playing the Giants, but and I forget Homer wrote on that too. But the odds are that those teams are not both going to lose. So, but they're going to throw their starters out there, and they're probably going to play the whole game. They're still, I'm not even going to get into the stuff with the Lions and the officiating game last week, and see more Lions fans. I get more comments from Lions fans on my videos this season than I do Vikings fans. It's crazy. Um, they're putting up billboards whining about the wrestling. I'm gonna put up a billboard that says Jared Goff fumbled. How about that? Um, but they're mad about that, and they're going to probably take out some of that frustration and anger on us, and they'll succeed because we are depleted, a depleted and defeated roster, and we got Nick Mullins taking QB again. They're gonna have Dobbs as QB2, so Jaron Hall's bumped down to 3. There's probably something to be said for Kevin O'Connell screwing up the quarterback thing by being very wishy-washy with quarterbacks. I mean, I haven't, like, in the moment, disagreed with really any of the decisions that he's made, post the Kirk injury, but for me, I'm always gonna the biggest what if is always gonna be, what if he actually let Dobbs be a mobile quarterback and didn't try to confine him to the pocket and run just the Kirk Cousins offense? I, I I will go to my grave thinking that we would have a few more wins right now if he had just done that with Dobbs, and we'd probably still be running with Dobbs. Um, but he wanted to make him he wanted to make him into Kirk Cousins point two, and that was never going to work, But yeah, I mean, the Jaron Hall thing last week was such a fucking disaster. Mullins came in, wasn't much better, um, but I mean, some of that gets chalked out up to the whole team. The whole team, no one. I mean, a week later, or almost a week later, I still think nobody fucking showed up in that game. It was just nobody cared. I think they're checked out, and that again, I think that can be a very bad reflection on the head coach. But they go out this week and play a close game and a competitive game. Who knows? Maybe even win. I still think that it's not going to wipe away the stink off of that New Year's Eve game. But I mean, I don't think this will be like a massacre. I don't think this will be 33-10 this week. But I don't see the Vikings really being in this game very well. I mean, Mullins will probably throw some picks again. Hopefully, he'll at least be able to move the ball and put up some points. At least make it something of an entertaining football game. I mean, that's about the best we can hope for. And then there'll be, again, I'm not going to get into this stuff now. This is for after the season and the long, and boy, it's going to be a fucking irritating off season with the number of just like I always hate the off seasons with the mock drafts and everyone thinking they're a fucking draft guru and a free agent guru and they know everything. I few things I hate more than mock drafts. And that's all we're gonna have to look forward to for about 4 months because we ain't making the fucking playoffs. I hope that the Packers don't make the playoffs. I would much prefer Seattle or the Saints get in, or maybe the Falcons. I don't know if the Falcons can even get in as a wild card. I would take just about anyone over the Packers, but I mean I don't think the Packers are long for the playoffs, even if they get in there. But it's gonna sting if they're the ones who get this playoff spot that we vacated through all the bullshit that's happened the last couple months. But it would fit for the season from hell, which is thankfully almost done. It's a new year. Maybe something will. Maybe it was all something about 2023. Maybe it could be better in 2024. And eternal optimist that I tend to be, I do think the Vikings would be in a prime position to bounce back next year, depending on what they do. Because again, this is like for after the game, after the season's done. But there's a lot of big decisions that have to be made that could determine whether or not this is they're kind of going forward again next year, or doing more of a significant rebuild. But and yeah, this could be the last game as a Viking for some very prominent guys. I mean, obviously Kirk, but he's not playing. But it could be the end for Harrison Smith. Harrison's had he's had a down year. I'm not gonna say he's washed up, but I mean, has Harrison Smith made any sort of major impact this year in any games? I mean, you haven't even heard his name. He's been jumped by Metellus and Bynum in the safety pecking order. It just hasn't been much of a season for him, and he's due a big contract if they keep him. I would suspect it's either he gets cut or he takes another big pay cut to stay. I don't think he's going to get a big payday anywhere else. So maybe if he wants to keep playing, he'll stay. Daniil Hunter also could be his last game in purple. I mean, he's ready to get his big payday now. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's ready to get his big payday. I believe we'll get the comp pick if he leaves, but obviously you hope to keep him, but I don't think you're going to be able to keep him. I think someone with tons and tons of cap space is really going to back up the Brinks truck for him. So it could be the end for him. And we've got other various guys who are on the way out. It could be the last game. I would say there's probably a good chance it could be the last game for Alexander Madison. What a failure he's been this year. We'll see. I mean, I don't even have like the list in front of me of who's exactly a pending free agent. I mean, there's other guys who are going to be out of here. There's going to be a lot of, as always, there's always a lot of roster turnover, but there's really going to be a lot of roster turnover for this coming off season. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, so I hope just for the for the sake of keeping, saving face, that they put up a good showing in this game. You know, obviously the draft position, everyone's obsessed with the draft order, and I think with a loss, I think, was it the worst we can pick is 12th, but we can pick as high as, I think, 8th. I mean, I assume we're going to lose, so I'm guessing we're going to have a pretty high draft pick. And yes, you can go get your quarterback if you want one. Um, but so obviously there'll be that faction of Vikings fans who are rooting against getting a win. I'm hoping for a win. I mean, obviously, I hope for a miracle. I hope an absolute miracle happens and we get in the playoffs still. I mean, the NFC is not strong this year. Like, you could do something if you just stumble your ass in there. Maybe you can do something. It seems just preposterous to even talk about playoffs with the Vikings right now because they've lost 5 out of 6 games and they've looked really bad doing it. And they've been competitive until this last game. That's one of the other things that just stung, is like, win or lose, the Vikings are always in these games, and they weren't in this game against the Packers. And you put up 10 points against a team that had given up 30 to the Panthers a week before. It's just disgusting. So, but the people calling for KOC to be fired maybe are just ridiculous. You're not going to. There's absolutely zero. I even saw like listed up, like coaches who might get fired after the season. Like, he's not going to get fired. There's absolutely zero chance he gets fired. And then people are whining, oh, why didn't we hire Harbaugh? Because Michigan's in the championship now. It's like, okay, we didn't hire Harbaugh. That doesn't mean that he was going to have us in a championship if we had hired him. Just stop. Like the people who've been whining for a couple weeks that we didn't sign Joe Flacco. Like, just stop. Just what is? There's nothing productive about complaining about this stuff. Didn't happen. The season has sucked, and I'm exhausted from this season completely, and I'm ready for it to be over. And I hope that it's not over. I would love it if there's something beyond this Sunday, but I just think it's so unlikely. I mean, you need so much to happen. I mean, we were at like a 90% to make the playoffs just a few weeks ago. And then really once that Bear game happened, it just imploded. I mean, the only game we've won in almost 2 months now, almost 2 calendar months, was the 3-0 game. It's been no fun. It just hasn't been any good. And I expect this we're going to be put out of our misery in this game. I think all the other games that could eliminate us are all taking place later, or maybe the ones for the NFC South are taking place at the same time. So it's possible we could be eliminated before like our game is done potentially, but I'm sure it won't be that way. I'm sure we're gonna after for the 3rd week in a row, we have the Lions come into our building and take our division title. Then we have the Packers come in to our building and take our basically our playoff hopes, and then the Lions will stick the dagger in completely, and we'll be done. Season from hell, but at least it's almost over. So I think this will be I don't know, like a 34-20 type of game. Maybe we can put up some more points than that, but there's nothing really to look forward to as far as like, who can put up some numbers. Maybe there's no milestones to look for. But let's just get it over with. I mean, hopefully nobody else gets hurt. I mean, wouldn't that be fitting to have someone get have some other player get like some season ending, or not season, I mean, it would obviously be season ending, but some major injury going into the off season. But yeah, we just need it to be over. It's been a rough year, and we're into a new calendar year, but we're not through with the 2023 season yet. And yeah, it's been rough. It's been a rough go, but brighter times are ahead, hopefully.